Hey, what is up, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Behind the Voice. This is going to be a special one because this is where I talk about video games that I've been playing. So we can call this Behind the Voice Unlocked, a brand new probably series or whatever. I don't know if it can be a series, but if you guys want it to be sort of a mini series of some kind that I can post once a month, I can do that as well. But today I'll be talking about a few games, a couple of the games that I've been playing, that is Rise of the Ronin and Horizon Forbidden West, as well as Stellar Blade demo. And then I'll be talking about other two games that have not yet come out, that being Judas and Marvel's new game called Marvel's Rivals. I'm very bad at transitioning, but here we go. I'm going to talk about first of all is going to be Rise of the Ronin. A big thanks to PlayStation for really gifting me this game and giving me the opportunity to play this. I got to play it on PS5. It's a PS5 exclusive. Rise of the Ronin is made by the same companies who made Neo and Neo 2. And these guys are very good in combat and the mechanics of that. And that's what this game also brings. Rise of the Ronin is all about Japan, and where the people are trying to open up Japan to the rest of the world, especially to America, so that they can kind of exchange goods and weapons and stuff like that and do dealings. But there's some part of Japan, like yourself, who are trying to not do that. Or you can also have the chance or the choice to actually let that happen. And there's a lot of those things going around. That's kind of the general gist of the story. I still don't know the story of where it's going, but at least there are choices on whether you're gonna go with the shoguns or the anti-shoguns. There are these two groups. I might be wrong at the same time because, as I said, the story is just not that concrete for me yet. And obviously, I have not finished the game, and that's why it's not concrete. But at the same time, I'm gonna get into it with the story because the story is there. I think at this point, there's nothing at the beginning of the game. The game never hooked me into any of the characters or the story. I just never got interested in anyone, regardless of how the game went. And even now, while there is a small twist that I got, it is interesting, but it's not good enough for me to kind of, to get excited about. I think that's what I want to say, because usually if I'm excited about the story, I can go forward and, want to know what's happening next. But this is one of those games where I just don't really kind of wanted to know what's happening next. I don't really care. I mostly skip at times at the same time. So that is also an issue, but it depends upon from people to people, because this game looks like is heavily focused on the mechanics of the game, the combat, the exploration, the side missions and stuff like that, but the combat being the major focus. I feel like at least that's what this game is all about, and it never really much focused on storytelling per se. But I think one of the things that this game, a lot of people have been talking about, it is being a PS5 exclusive. And why that's an issue at the same time is because the game visually does not look that good. It definitely looks like a PS3, PS4, early PS4 game visually. While that is not a bad thing, it's just is weird to see that this game is a PS5 exclusive, and usually PS5 exclusives are these games which look visually incredible or great to look at, like in general, like they look really good. And at the same time, obviously the combat is good, maybe the story is good, those are other stuff, but visually PS5 exclusive games make sure that they do that, they reach that kind of goal and attention. However, this game did not go that. It looks like the visual side of things were not the highest priority. Not that the game looks bad with kind of like low textures or how some of the things are just not built well. It is built well, but at the same time, the textures feel very flat at times, not at times, all the time. When I'm in these villages, which is like base normal ground, it just looks completely flat with no depth. It feels like I'm literally playing that PS3. There's not much to it, to the environment. I think this game can easily be compared to Ghost of Tsushima. It will be compared to Ghost of Tsushima. I don't think so we can do much about it because both these games are in Japan. There's sword fighting and all that stuff. And Ghost of Tsushima looks far, far better visually than this game, unfortunately. There are moments in the game, especially at night, if it's raining, where the game looks a little better because there's lightning strikes and the lightning then gives light to the grass and stuff like that. That's the place there where I felt like this game looks much better. But other than that, the game never felt that PS5 exclusive feel. It never gave me that feeling. And at the same time, it has performance and quality mode. And for a game that doesn't look that good in terms of graphics, I don't understand why the quality mode had to be 30 FPS. It just felt not right in some ways. It felt like it didn't need to be 30 FPS. It could be easily more than that. I was wondering where the resources were going that kind of capped it at 30 FPS. Now I could be very wrong. Don't take my words on it because I'm not a developer. I'm not one of those guys that just play games. But I thought like with the game having like lower graphics in some ways, 30 FPS in a quality mode and performance mode being higher didn't make any sense. There is a ray tracing mode as well, which is very interesting. It kind of comes between performance and graphics mode. So the ray tracing mode is like basically performance mode in some ways, but the ray tracing is turned on. Let's say in PC graphics settings, when you turn on ray tracing, there's low preset. It looks like it's a low preset of ray tracing turned on with performance mode still being on. So I mean, maybe it's like for the people who want to enjoy ray tracing and see what ray tracing is all about. But obviously, with ray tracing, the biggest features you see with ray tracing is better lighting, shadows because of those lighting coming, the lights coming into darker areas, or the reflections are more refined. Those are the places where ray tracing kind of benefits. So you don't really see much unless you're looking at water, and then you can see like, okay, there's some good reflections on water. Otherwise, you won't really need ray tracing. I think the game plays very well in performance and graphics mode. At times, I didn't even realize that there is a difference between graphics and performance mode. So I would just play on performance mode at times. But the major thing that this game does excellent is the combat. Regardless, like Neo was such a great game, that combat was impressive. This game also has amazing combat. I think that's the only reason why I'm able to get back into the game. The combat feels raw, fresh. There's obviously things like you have to parry, you have to find that timer, find that particular timing to get the parry done right. Obviously, you have blocking. You can block only for a limited time until your key, it's called key, kai, or stamina, I guess you can say here, goes down. You cannot no longer block. You have different combat styles with your swords. So it depends upon how the enemy is fighting. Your combat style might be beneficial, might be better, might be advantageous, or sometimes it might not be. You might be at a disadvantage with that combat style. So you switch to a different combat style, and that might give you that advantage. And when you start the game, you have this ability to create characters. You have two basically siblings, and you can create both their characters the way you want. And then it also tells you what type of character you want to be, what type of fighter you want to be, and every type of fighter has a weapon proficiency. So depending upon that, you can take that weapon. You can also not take those weapons and try to do it in different ways. You can do it whatever you want. And then as you keep on defeating enemies, you get new items, you get new equipment, new weapons. They all have better stats than the previous one. So you can see what stats work for you, and you can select those and move on with that. And there's another additional thing that I really, really liked. That was at later point in the game, when you get to have your safe house, you can actually redesign your whole outfit without affecting your stats at all. So if you have a new outfit that you just collected that gave you the highest stats, now you can go back to your home, and that is called in the longhouse, I think it's called. And you go back there and you can redesign everything from tops to jackets, to the shirt you're wearing, to the pants, to the gloves, everything. You can do it the way you want based on the items you just collected. And so you can customize it your way without affecting any of the stats. So now moving forwards from that, you can collect the new outfits without changing your current appearance, as those outfits stats are being utilized instead. In terms of combat, it took me a little bit of time to find that timing of the parry. I still am not able to do it all the time. The boss battles are very tough. At a later point, it becomes tougher, obviously, and it takes a lot of retries and stuff like that. The good thing about this game is it's also co-op, so you can bring your friends in and play those particular boss battles at the same time. You can also do it with an AI, so you just don't need to have your friend with them. You just can bring your ally, and the ally will act as an AI. The best thing about that is you can switch between these two characters and play whoever you want. Now, this is mostly used in the main missions, especially when there's a fight or something like that. Usually in the main mission is where you can bring your ally in and you can, switch between these characters. Now, having AI allies, once your character gets beaten down, then you automatically switch to that ally, and now you have to kill him, or you can also revive with the healing item that you have, and you can revive your other teammates. So you can do that as well, but that will take your default healing item. Again, this game also has a lot of different things. You have number of ways to heal yourself. You can apply special effects, I guess you can say, or mods, or whatever you want to say, to your swords as well, such as fire, poison, electricity. You can also use guns in this game. So it's not automatic rifle, but you can use a rifle, you can use a bow and arrow, you can use those things. You can also use a throwing stars, You can also use those, and you can also use some other pills in some ways to increase the damage that you give, to be not get affected by fire as much, and all those stuff. There's a lot of different things that you can do in this game. Apart from story mode, you also have side missions, which is also fun, but some of these side missions are kind of repetitive. You kind of feel doing the sort of the same things. Some of the side missions are just odd. There's not much to it, but you're doing it because trying to level up, I guess, and stuff like that. In the open world, you also see some side missions just in general popping up, like somebody's being attacked. Mostly that's the case. Somebody's being attacked, and you try to save them, and they give something to you. And that's basically what I see in the open world. Now, the gliding feature, which is very interesting, is that you're just given the gliding feature. It was one of the boss battles that I did, and then we are at a height, and now all of a sudden the game tells you can glide. Okay, I guess I have a glider. I had this glider all this time, I guess. But the gliding feature, while it's really good, it is obviously usable once you're at a height and you want to go down, because you cannot fly up. You can always, it's a glider, so you can glide down. So there's not much to glide on, because not every place is having a higher building or higher ledge or whatever. So I didn't use glide as much. In terms of main missions, they're pretty good. I don't know how to really judge them at this point, because they're not really unique, I guess you can say. You've done these missions before and stuff like that. However, I do appreciate the fact that since there are two factions in this particular world, you can choose to side with any one of them, and you can choose to side with kind of both of them. So you have your choices. It doesn't tell you to go here and go here. The more of the missions you do with the shogunates, you will have a different outcome. The more missions you do with anti-shogunates, you'll have a different outcome. So I like those ideas. I like those things that you have your choice. You can actually take it the way you want it to. However, I have not seen like long-term effects of how that's going to affect with this character that I was talking to earlier, because I'm no longer working with him or her. Will my decision affect my relationship with that person? That I haven't seen yet. Hopefully that's the case. I don't know, but so far it isn't. So will I recommend this game? I would say not really at this point. I would say please do wait for the sale. If there might be a sale, then get this game, because this game, while the combat is really, really fun, it's not the only good enough reason for you to play this game. I think this game has some great stuff, but I do believe for a PS5 exclusive, I don't think so. This game is that important to buy right now. I would say to wait and then play it. There's another game which was a PlayStation exclusive at one point in time, but is no longer has come out on PC, and that is Horizon Forbidden West. And again, really want to give thanks to PlayStation for giving me that game on PC. It's a complete edition. You get the DLC in the base game. And I gotta say, the port of this game is fantastic. Horizon Forbidden West on PC plays really, really well. With the DLSS being on, you can easily go beyond 80, 90 FPS. Now, I don't know if that's what people want to see. I know some people are like 80 FPS is still low, but I consider them as great. I like playing games above 60, around 60. I don't mind. I find the game really beautiful, and the game is very beautiful. It's way too much detailed, and it just looks amazing. I'm playing it at a medium to high setting. Some of the settings are medium, most of it is high, and I have DLSS turned on, so it goes to 80, 90 at times. If I turn it off and if I use the TAA feature, I think I'm getting 70 to 75. So it's a pretty good FPS, and I really like, and I'm playing at 1080p, by the way, so I don't play at 4K, but it looks really good. It just is such a good looking game. It plays very well, flawlessly. There has been no stutters as of this point, and just everything just looks very good. I think that there's a great support in the game. Obviously, if you have OBS turned on, if you're trying to record a stream, it will affect the game, because the processing power is now being divided between the game and the OBS. So if you know that, that's going to be a problem, because once I turned on my OBS, my FPS kind of dropped really massively. So it went down to around 50, 60 at times. So the game really heavily relies on your CPU at the same time. So just a fair warning, I guess you can say. So make sure that if you have a higher, CPU or a higher PC build if you want to stream or record at the same time. And as of the game is really, really good. If you have played Horizon Zero Dawn, it continues straight from that. And unlike Horizon Zero Dawn, where the story took a little while to build up, Horizon Forbidden West does the opposite. It immediately goes from where it left off. And it does a very good job. Again, the world is much bigger this time around. You will have a much better time, new machines to look at, new skills, new ways to kill, and new characters at the same time. And again, as I said, the details of this game is far better than Horizon Zero Dawn. If you turn on the photo mode, you will really see. If you can go to a water, if you're swimming, turn on the photo mode and really zoom into her face. You will see water droplets on her face. You can see the inside of the pupils details. You will see so much detail in this game, and you will be in love with photo mode for sure, because I took a lot of photos in just an hour of the gameplay. So there's a lot to see. You will be able to see far in the distance something's happening, and you would want to go there. You'll be really curious to see what's happening in that side. And this game is really good with the side missions. Some of the side missions really feel like main missions at times. It really does, where you are trying to see and trying to find out what happened to this person. And these side missions sometimes can be longer, and it feels like a main mission, as I said before. So they have done a really, really good job in making the missions really, really relatable and really having a story with each character in place. And again, much later in the game, as you're coming towards the end, you'll see twists and turns, and it is a really brilliant game. I would really recommend you to check out. There's a lot of cool things in this game. And unfortunately, it also came around at the time when Dragon's Dogma 2 came around. I know a lot of people are playing Dragon's Dogma 2 already, and there are some FPS problems with that game, but a lot of people are really enjoying it. But if you get the chance to play Horizon Forbidden West, definitely take a chance. It's a wonderful game, and I really enjoyed it. One of the best games that I've ever played. Another PS5 exclusive game that I got to play was Stellar Blade, which is available right now. The demo version of it is available right now on PS5 for free, and you can play. It's like an hour-ish long game. You can probably play it in 40 minutes if you're just going by. But if you are trying to go and look out everything, I think it's gonna be an hour-ish long. And this game is a PS5 exclusive look of the game. At least visually, it looks just way too good. The graphics are amazing, high quality. There's so much details running around. There's a performance and a quality mode. Again, quality mode is at 30 FPS, performance mode 60 FPS. But I feel like in performance mode, even the game looks very, very nice. Even the water reflections are very cool. The details are still there. So even with performance mode, you'll still have a great time. But the game is really, really good. Obviously, you have these hot girls that you play. And while the girls are really, really hot, yes, I think the combat of this game is really, really strong. The developers behind this game, this is, I guess, their first game, and they are big fans of Nier Automata, and they have themselves said that they have such a big fan, and that's why they wanted to make their own version of Nier Automata in some ways, and this game is that. I don't really know the story of this game yet. It feels like you are obviously in Earth, but these people are not from Earth. It feels like they have been built in some ways. And the combat, again, is like Rise of the Ronin. You have blocking, you can parry, you can sort of dodge. You don't really dodge, you dash. You have skill that you can unlock for dodging. That is also a perfect dodge, which is very interesting. But it can become harder, it can become tougher, especially if you go to the boss battles, it becomes much more tough. But you have these really fun combat mechanics and really fun gameplay. Really, I really enjoyed it. You have a lock on target as well, so you can easily take them out. And then you have different skills that you can also unlock. You also have different abilities that you can utilize, and it's really fun to take a look at all these abilities. And as you keep on playing, you gather these points that you can utilize to unlock new skills. And there's a lot of skills that you can unlock, and these skills are really cool. One of them was perfect dodge that I mentioned. And if you keep on unlocking that sort of tree of perfect dodge, you will be able to dodge much better. Now, the perfect dodge has this small window of timing where you can dodge perfectly, and it's just a dodge. You can't really dodge and do a move. Your character also has a shield, which generates over time if it gets depleted. And I really like the save station, because when you go into the save station, you flip a coin into this jukebox of some kind, and the music starts playing. You can change the song. You can obviously save. You can also unlock skills right from there. You can also, when unlocking skill, practice those skills, which is really cool. You can keep the enemy, change the style of the enemy, basically, whether he is doing special attacks or all kinds of attacks, and you can practice any kind of move there. It will also show what kind of moves you're doing right now, and it will also show all the skills that you have. All the skills will be right there unlocked, and you can utilize whatever you want and just practice with the skills, which I really like. Also, with the music, as I mentioned, the music is constantly playing. There's a soft music playing, and it's really cool to listen to it. It's a really cool song that you get to hear. Really enjoyable. Again, very action-packed, high scale, over-the-top action. You also have some of the cutscenes where you and your friend in the very early part of the demo doing these crazy action moves, slow motion, and it's all of those, anime style, over-the-top action-packed game is what this game is. And after you end the demo, you get to see some kind of like this montage of what this game will have. So there's a lot of things. You have guns apparently in your kind of right hand you can utilize. You have different kind of skills, lots more to do as you keep on unlocking new outfits as well. And then the game also gives you one boss battle in the main menu after you are done with the demo. which is like this one boss battle, which is really hard. And it's, I think, much later in the game. Obviously, you get this insane, sexy outfit at the same time, but you can change the outfit as well, which is really cool. You get to see different outfits, and then you have these others kind of skills already unlocked, and some of the other skills are also unlocked. Like perfect dodge tree has been unlocked, so you can do actually a dodge by bashing the dodge button or dash button, and you can eventually dodge. And it was a hard boss battle, but you will understand what this game is actually trying to bring. The boss battles that you will see, and it took a little bit of time to finally beat that boss, but you can try all types of skills and see how it actually works. Learn parry with that boss, and it's really, really cool. I think whatever you played in a demo, to the moment how far you went in the demo, whatever you collected, when you get the game, all of that will be transferred to the game. So that's another cool thing. You don't have to play the same part once more. Now, this game is coming out literally later in the month of April. So it's coming out literally next month on 26th. I'm really excited. I'm really, really excited to play this game. It really hooked me immediately, especially with that opening. It really hooked me in, and all these combat styles and the graphics and obviously the sexiness, all of that hooked me in. So I'm really excited to play this game. The next game that was really announced much recently was Marvel's Rivals. This is a 6v6 shooter game, very much like Overwatch, where you have Marvel superheroes that you can pick. Now, I really like the idea because I love Overwatch. I've been playing Overwatch since its beta in 2016. However, it doesn't look like Overwatch in terms of the quality. I feel like this game, Marvel's Rivals, look more similar to Paladins in terms of visual style and aesthetic. However, it plays very much like Paladins and Overwatch, which are the sort of the same gameplay style. And it's a 6v6 shooter, you versus another team. You both are trying to do same objectives or similar objectives. Whoever finishes the objective kind of wins. And there are abilities, ultimates, and stuff like that. I'm just curious how the gameplay is going to be. While we did see some of the gameplay and it looked good, you can see the ultimates that Iron Man, Doctor Strange, many other people can do. You have Guardians, you have Spider-Man, a lot of different ones. I don't remember if I saw X-Men, but you have all these different superheroes that you can, utilize their skills and abilities. I just want to see how they play, because someone like Iron Man or Doctor Strange, they're flying, or Spider-Man who is swinging. But the other people who, let's say Captain America or Wolverine, they would be just running, or Black Widow, they will all be on ground running. So I want to see how that is going to work out, because I know like in games like Overwatch, where Farah is like a flying hero, but she has jetpack in some way. So she cannot use that jetpack all the time. Whereas Iron Man in this case, he has no jetpack. He is literally using it as much as he can. Something like Doctor Strange, you can like float as much as he can. So I don't know how that is going to work out. But it does look very, very interesting. It is very early to say whether it's going to play well, how it's going to be. But the beta is coming next month. So I'm very much interested to check it out and see how that game is. I'm a big fan of Overwatch. I've been playing Overwatch for such a long time. I love those games. And I think I'm going to have a good time with this game. It really depends whether this game can do some things that Overwatch is not doing, especially Overwatch 2. Hopefully, it doesn't do the battle pass system where heroes are locked in battle passes. I hope they don't do that. I hope they don't go into that microtransaction type of thing, because that will literally kill the game. I hope they do it the right way that Overwatch 2 in the beginning didn't do, and now they're sort of trying to do. So I really hope that this kind of changes it. And since it's Marvel superheroes, I think it's going to connect with a lot of people. Again, hoping that it's done right. It's very easy to say right now because we have not seen anything. It's our fingers crossed. I hope it's a good game. There was another game that I really want to quickly talk about, that is Judas. While there is not much said about the game, 4 people, I think, IGN, Jeff Keighley, Jake Belindo, and the guy who runs Skill Up, I think Lucy as well. 4 or 5 people got the opportunity to go to the studio and play Judas like 5-6 hours. And they were talking about how Judas is going to be. If you don't know, Judas is a game made by ex-BioShock Infinite creator. He has made this game, made this new studio. Judas is really, in some ways, BioShock in space. And it looks really, really interesting. Again, very much like BioShock Infinite, BioShocky. You have one gun in one hand, you have powers in your hands, or something like that. Now, in this game, you are in this big kind of satellite in some ways. You're outside of the Earth, in space. It's a massive satellite in some ways, you can say, and it's a whole city inside. And you're trying to live now. Apparently, you, Judas, the character, got to know that everyone in this place is actually robots. They're not humans. So now that sort of information gets out, everybody is panicking, and you're in that situation. I don't know why we are fighting these other things, but we are fighting robots essentially. And it's very much similar to that of Atomic Heart in some ways, where there were robots kind of being like waiters or serving other people, all of a sudden just went rogue. It's something like that, where these robots now, for example, there's a chef which has a knife, big knife, butcher knife or something, uses as a weapon now, has a smile in his face. You have a dentist whose headrest becomes a face and now has these equipments in her hand. Looks like a female. It's equipments in her hands, and there's a body dangling in front on the chair, which looks really frightening and creepy. So you have these creepy monsters that you get to fight to. They're all robots, so you can shoot them down. You can utilize your powers as well. Other than that, you're also a hacker, so you can hack these robots the way you want to. And there's a lot of options that you get to see. Like you can leak their oil, and now you can throw a kind of like a Molotov, and you can, lit everyone on fire. You can also make or turn a robot and into the Kamizake mode, I think it's called, where he just goes crazy and just runs into an enemy and explodes himself or kills himself in some way. So it's a really cool thing to see, because you can just control these robots in your own way, hack them, but you cannot use your hack all the time. There's a limitation at the same time. And there's a lot of different things. For example, there's these 3 characters that are always going to be with you. These 3 characters are very important in this world. One of them is a counselor, which is a kid. The other one is, I think, in the medical side. And there's a guy, I'm forgetting their names though, but there's a guy who's a commissioner. Apparently, they're all in a relationship. The guy and the woman, they are husband, wife, or they were husband, wife, and their kid is this counselor. And they're all trying to kind of help you in some ways, and you are supposed to help them at the same time. And they also help you while you're fighting some of these like robots. They will drop in turrets and they'll do other stuff to help you out. But at the same time, if you don't help them out, they will also not help you. So at certain moments, if you're not helping the police officer or the commissioner, I think in this case, he will lock doors that you can open. So you're trying to open this door and he will be there just locking that door, will not let you open. And sometimes the turrets will not come up. Sometimes some of the other things will not happen. So they will stop you from progressing because you didn't help them, which is also a cool thing. So you can, again, go in whatever direction you want. I don't know how much of the consequences you get to face, whether there is that relationship factor involved in or not. Again, we don't know whether there are boss battles, what else is in this world. We don't really know much about it. Again, at least based on what people are talking about, that's what this game is about. Visually, the game looks amazing. I'm really looking forward to this game. Again, I think it's way too early to say when the game is coming out. I'm hoping that it's coming out sometime next year, maybe in summertime, in the E3 time, I guess you can say, is when I think the game is going to come out, or maybe something is going to be announced. I'm expecting some more announcements, some more gameplay by the end of the year, maybe in the Game Awards or something like that. And it looks really cool. Again, BioShock was a really fun game, and I'm really looking forward to see how this game is going to pan out later on. And again, it just looks all very fun, very cool. The director of the game said that he wanted this not a linear experience, and you have different choices. You can go wherever you want, and that is something that he couldn't do in BioShock Infinite, and he's trying to do with Judas. And I'm looking forward to that. With that, I think it's kind of interesting to see. And with all these mechanics, I think it's very interesting to see how it's gonna turn out to be. Now, I know a lot of people are playing Dragon's Dogma 2, but I would love to know what games are you guys playing. And speaking of Dragon's Dogma 2, I got a guest from that game. She played Wilhelmina. Her name is Charlotte East, and you can see that episode on 7th April. So definitely subscribe on YouTube if you want to watch it. Follow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts if you want to listen to it. And I hope you really enjoyed that episode. And I hope you really enjoyed this episode. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys next weekend. Until then, stay happy, and I hope you have a fun time playing video games. And I also hope that you're having a great week.